Welcome to the show. My guest today has gone through something no one should ever have to go through, and yet she's found a way to turn her tragedy into testimony. And I'm talking about Mary Beth Talley, longtime friend of mine
Yes.
from church.
Yes.
Your story, though, comes from an event in 1999 at Wedgewood Baptist Church in Fort Worth, which is your home church.
Yes.
As a young person, you were in the youth group, and a crazed gunman came in and created mayhem and killed several people and wounded you.
And a few others, too.
And
so yes.
a few others, too. So you have now written a book, all these years later.
Yes.
But you have written a book, Mary Beth Talley, Not Bad, Just Different. Living Life as a Mass Shooting Survivor. So welcome
Thank you.
to the show.
Thank you.
So let's go back to that night.
Okay.
What were the things that you remember?
It's amazing how you remember things that change your life so much. The details. It was a Wednesday night. It was the see you at the pole for at schools.
Oh, high schools do it everywhere.
Yes,
yeah.
they still do it. And we were having a saw you at the pole rally, and so we were getting ready for that, where we had youth groups from other churches that were going to come, and we were just going to have a worship service. And right about 20 minutes after that service started, he came in, and we never finished the service. And it was interesting because he actually started shooting when he entered the building, not just when he entered the sanctuary. And he had actually asked, there's a group of adults sitting right outside the door or inside the door, and he had asked them where the prayer meeting was, and he didn't really give them a chance to finish. And that's when he started shooting in the hallway, and it lasted probably about 8 minutes. And it's interesting because I think what had happened was someone, a visiting youth, had actually confronted him in the back of the sanctuary. And I remember because I was actually in between him and the shooter himself, and I remember thinking, oh, this could end really badly. And I prayed so much for the one that was doing the confronting. But I remember hearing about how when he realized he was shooting at kids, that everything just changed for him. And that's when he turned around, sat down on a pew, and killed himself. So it's just a very, very interesting. And then everything else happened after that. We had to figure out what life was going to be like after that,
Right.
Whatever that means. So,
Well, you had gotten down in between the pews, right?
yes.
And had warned others to get down. But initially, I think, didn't people think, oh, it's some sort of a skit?
Yes, because this happened 4 months after Columbine. And so we were all kind of thinking, oh, are we going to do something like, well, what would happen if, someone came in and asked you either to renounce your faith, or like, what would you do? And so I think a lot of them thought that. I was actually in the skit. I don't even remember what the skit was even about anymore, but I was in it, and a lot of people sat down because they thought this was it. And he never came up farther than the balcony, and he just kind of stayed in the back. And a lot of people they thought it was a joke, and they thought it was funny, and it wasn't anything that they would have known any better. They just didn't know it was real. Us in the back, we knew it was real. But I think afterwards, he was right-handed, so one of the walls of the sanctuary was just riddled with bullet holes. And yeah, it was just, it's very interesting. And I'm very grateful that I knew it was real from the beginning, because I can't imagine my friends who've had to process that they thought it wasn't real and then realizing it was. And that would just be so different, and I would have processed it so much differently. I'm very grateful for, as horrible as it was, I'm grateful that my healing process was able to start a lot sooner than some others.
Well, let's talk about the actual wound that you experienced.
Okay.
What was that? I mean, when you realized, oh, I've been shot. What was that?
It sounds so strange. It didn't really hurt at first. Adrenaline probably, and stress, and just my body was very tense. I didn't really realize it happened until I started bleeding, which is gross. But but I remember being on the ground, and I kept saying, "It's like, I'm gonna get shot. I'm gonna get shot." And my best friend at the time, her mom was right there, and she was like, "Shut up, Mary Beth." And I was like, "I would have told me to shut up too," because it just didn't make any sense. But I remember thinking, "I'm gonna get shot, but I'm gonna be okay," and I just knew. And so when it happened, I was like, "Okay, well,
You think that was the
over.
Lord telling you, don't worry?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
don't worry.
Absolutely. And I remember thinking, okay, well, now I need an ambulance, but I can't really get up. I can't really say, I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry you're angry. I need to go call 911. This wasn't going to happen. But I do remember being at least of sound mind enough to think, okay, I've been shot either in my shoulder. I thought it was from the back, but I've been hit on my backside, and I'm thinking, okay. And I was really crouched down at the time, and I remember thinking, I can wiggle my toes. I can feel my toes.
That was good.
Yes, and I was like, okay, so at least when this is all over, I'm not paralyzed as of right now. So I remember thinking those, and it's very strange to be thinking so logically during something so horrific. But I always think, when you're in a car accident or anything that happens, you don't really panic necessarily right then. You kind of reason your way through it, and you panic later.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what it was. And I remember when I got up, we were running, and my front side was completely clean.
Yeah, you look fine.
I looked
from the
fine,
front.
yes.
Yeah.
And then we got up. We were going to be able to evacuate the building, and one of the police officers came in and told us to get down. And I kept thinking, like, I have to go to the hospital. And one of the youth workers, he helped me get down on the ground, and all of a sudden he said he saw my back and it was just covered in blood. And I was like, I have to get up. I have to go. And so I was actually out on one of the first ambulances that was able to leave before the media came in. And so it's really interesting thinking about it now. I always tell my students to just be very cautious about what you hear on the news, because not all information is 100% correct.
Especially in a breaking news situation.
Absolutely. And
You're just not getting all the right.
No, and back in the 90s, we didn't have videos. We didn't have all of that stuff. So
cell phones immediately documenting all of it. Yeah.
Well, in the cell phones we did have, you had to pay to use and all the things.
Yeah.
And we didn't learn until later that they had actually announced to my youth group that I had died because I was unaccounted for. My car was still in the parking lot. My backpack was still in the sanctuary. And so they hadn't seen me. And so they just assumed that I was still in the sanctuary among the dead. Oh. And I had actually been at the hospital. They announced it on the news as well. And I laugh at it now. And I wrote about this in my book, that they had announced it on the news, and my neighbor, who it was my senior year of high school, it was our homecoming week. And my neighbor, unbeknownst to my mom and I, was making a homecoming mum for me. It's the only one I have. She was halfway through making it. She was watching the news, and she says, like, I don't believe this. And she finished it. And excuse me,
wow.
It hangs on my bedroom wall. And so it's the only high school mum I have, but it still hangs there, and I will always remember that story.
Yeah.
But they also said I was 14 and I was 17. So I know, it was just so interesting.
Yeah, those reporters don't always get it right. I'm just saying.
I do think it's better now, but I always tell the kids, I'm like, wait a few days until more information is always let out. And so
right.
But yeah.
So when did your parents find out that you had gone to the hospital?
So my mom was on her way to church from work.
Oh, she was coming to pick you up?
No, she was coming to choir practice.
Oh, because you had your car.
Yeah, because I had my car. I was a senior, and so I had to get there early to do stuff with youth group, and she always came for choir practice. And when she got there, they turned her around and they sent her to John Peter Smith, which is where they had taken me. So yeah, no. Wow. And then we got to hang out in the hospital for a few hours, and so I've never been so cold in my life. I will say that.
I don't know why. Well, I do know why. It's to keep infection down.
Right.
But it is freezing.
Well, and even for me, I didn't realize how much blood I had lost. And so, like, my body was just cold.
Right.
And
and then you're in shock and all the rest of that.
And so they piled blankets on me, and I was just like, I'm so cold. I don't know what else.
So did you have to have surgery? What?
Technically, no, but the bullet only had an entrance wound, and so there was no exit wound. And so it had lodged itself, and they took it out a few weeks later.
Okay.
I didn't get to keep the bullet, though.
So you do not have a souvenir?
No.
No, but you do have long-term reminders.
Absolutely. Right? Yeah.
So let's talk some about the PTSD issue that you have to experience. Are there certain sounds or things? Are there things that kind of take you back to that moment? Or is that so long ago now?
To me, it's
1999. I mean, it's still been a while.
Right. For me, I have been able to go through, I feel like, a very healthy healing process. It's been 26 years. And so for me, it's just another day. It's something that occasionally there are things that catch me off guard, but 99% of the time I'm just living life. I love going to the fireworks, but I also know, I'm like, it's a firework. I know that's what that sound is. Mm-hmm. The sad thing is, if I'm walking in my neighborhood and I hear something, I'm like, ooh, that's a gunshot.
Yeah.
And it's so bizarre. It's and I can recognize the sound because it doesn't sound like it does on TV or in the movies. It sounds very different in real life.
Mm.
But most of the time, there's nothing that really bothers me. Occasionally, I'll get a little claustrophobic, but I just try to live my life. And I probably do avoid some places and some things just because I know it'll set me off. But I don't, like, if I'm having an anxiety attack, you would never know. And half the time I wouldn't know because it just kind of creeps up on me. But yeah, but I've like I write about, I've been able to come at it from such a distance that it's just, I've had people ask me like, well, was it hard writing this? I was like, no, actually, I'm just writing what happened, my life as it is. What was probably harder to write about was my dad and his passing, because that hit differently and it was a different type of trauma. And so I really had to learn how to navigate that. But a lot of this is I've come so far, and every time there's been a mass shooting, I'm like, I want to tell people, I'm like, it's going to be okay. Like, you're not alone in this. And there are a lot more survivors than there are victims of mass shootings. But I want to tell them there's life and there's hope and there's healing. It just comes with time. And so, but you have to be willing to get there. Now, do I forget about it? Never.
No.
I'll never forget about it. But it doesn't identify me as a person. And it's just a part of who I am.
So much more I want to talk to you about because you experienced this traumatic, horrific event at Wedgewood Baptist Church, but then you come to Baylor. I mean, there's lots more of the story, the rest of the story, as I say, and we will get to that when we come back. Want to tell you, though, that today's show is being brought to you by Fox & Co. Bakery, where we bake foxy things. Stay with us. There's more of the show ahead.
With a focus on performance, design, and customer service, we're here to help you work smarter, not harder. Join us on our journey to simplify your world. Visit acasis.com today. That's ACASIS.com today.
If your home's feeling a bit dated or you're dreaming of that beautiful outdoor oasis, I have got the team for you. Gather & Co., the family-owned remodeling pros right here in Greater Waco since 1998. Led by the Falconberry family, they specialize in stunning kitchen and bathroom makeovers. Think custom walk-in showers, sleek cabinetry, and aging-in-place upgrades for easy living. They also nail outdoor spaces with pergolas, patio covers, sunrooms, and screen rooms that turn your backyard into a year-round retreat. What sets them apart? Personalized designs, top-notch craftsmanship, and a hassle-free process for free in-home consultations to spot-on completion, plus financing options to make it simple. Customers love them, raving about the friendly crew and attention to every detail. Ready to gather in your dream home? Call Gather & Co. today, 254-759-1147 for a no-obligation quote. Visit GatherCoRemodeling.com. Your remodel starts here.
At Mapiful, we believe in celebrating your journey. Our unique personalized products are designed to boost your confidence. From custom home decor to meaningful gifts, we help you cherish the memories that make you who you are. Visit mapiful.com and start celebrating your story today.
And we're back with Mary Beth Talley, known as MB. We know her as MB. She is on the praise team at First Baptist Woodway, where I attend. And, of course, we knew each other first at Highland Baptist, where you were involved in the music ministry and all that. You got to Baylor, though. I think your story about going to Baylor was so interesting in that, you felt like, well, it's expensive. How is this going to happen? And you just felt like the Lord was going to come through on this.
It's such a crazy story. And I remember when I wrote it, it was just a fun story to watch or to write. It sounds made up, and it sounds like something that would only happen in a movie. You're like, that never happens to me. But I remember in 8th grade, my ACT Teens group came down here to Baylor for a conference of some sort. And I remember
Well, and that's why they do that.
yes.
To have all these kids from all across the state come to Baylor and go, I want to come here to
exactly.
school. Yeah,
but I remember
there's a method to their madness.
It worked. But it was so funny because I don't remember anything about the campus, but I was like, the grass is so green.
Really?
Here.
I thought that was
yes.
funny. You love the grass.
The grass. I'm like, it's the middle of summer and the grass is green.
Okay.
I thought that was amazing.
Okay.
I'm like, I want to come here where the grass is always green. And so in 8th grade, God put that on my heart that I was going to go to Baylor.
Yeah.
And all through high school, I was like, I'm going to go to Baylor.
Mm-hmm,
And my mom worked full time. And so she's like, well, we could only really afford a state school. And I said, that's okay. I'm like, God's going to get me to Baylor. And I knew this from 8th grade until I was a senior. Mm-hmm. And so junior year comes around and I remember I had applied. I was like, well, I'm going to go to Baylor. It's fine. I had everything planned. It was going to be okay. And I was like, okay, as long as you can get it paid for. I said, don't worry, it'll get paid for. And the shooting happened. And then some other stories came out with that. And my senior English teacher actually knew, had been friends with President Sloan at the time. And she wrote kind of a letter on my behalf, I believe. She's like, they're waiting for your application. I said, oh, okay. It's about November. So I applied and I had been accepted. And I talk about my ACT and SAT scores. At the time, I took the ACT a week and a half after the shooting. Oh. And my friends are like, why are you here? I'm like, well, I paid for it. I might as well be here. What am I going to do? Sit at home and do nothing? I was so bored at home. And so I took my ACT and my score wasn't where it should have been probably. And I didn't take it again. I was like, I'm not going to worry about it. I'd already been accepted to Baylor. Mm-hmm. Great. And I was like, okay, what's plan B? I was like, so I had applied at another school and I was accepted, but they didn't offer a lot of scholarship as well. And so, we didn't get anything from the FAFSA. We made too much money, so I didn't get any state funding or any scholarships with that. But I was like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be fine. So in January, I get a phone call from a guy who worked in the financial aid office. And he's like, hey, we've heard about you. We really want to help you come here. And he's like, I have this scholarship. It's not a done deal, but I just want to let you know that it is hopefully in the process of you receiving this. I was like, great. And I was just excited that Baylor reached out and they were going to offer something because I didn't have anything. And we hadn't talked numbers. And at the end of the conversation, he told me what it was going to be. And I was like, oh, okay. And I called my mom and she's like, okay, well, when you get the real letter, then we'll know it's legit and we'll know it's really going to happen. I said, okay. So then come March, he calls me again before the letter even gets there. He goes, I have to call you myself. He says, you've actually qualified and are being offered a 4-year tuition scholarship at Baylor. And
wow, a full ride.
A full ride. And it was to where my mom could afford to pay everything extra, like at a state school.
Books and all the fees.
Yes,
that's
and
a
housing.
lot.
It is. And I mean, 25 years ago, it was less than it is now.
I know. Yeah.
But it was really amazing. And it's funny because something so horrific has brought about so much good. Mm-hmm. And, I can attribute that to just, following in obedience. And, God is so good to us, and he doesn't do anything that'll harm us, and he wants more for us. And, we live in a broken world and a fallen world, and, all we can do is trust and have faith. And, that's kind of where the book came out of. And, so it's just,
I think of the scripture, all things work together for
absolutely.
good to those that love him and are called according to his purpose.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit more about your faith. Mm-hmm. Did your faith in God change in any way? Did it grow deeper? Did you wrestle with things with like, why did this have to happen? Because you had to have known people who lost their lives that day.
Absolutely. Not really. I became a Christian when I was about 6.5. And I'm so grateful that I was young. My parents divorced when I was in 3rd grade. And there was other things that were happening that the only constant in my life was my relationship with the Lord. I'm not perfect. I wasn't perfect, but I did know that I serve and I worship a perfect God, and that he will discipline us in the most unique ways. He'll humble us in the most unique ways. But when the shooting happened, it did nothing but solidify that I did believe in something that was bigger than me and that was better than me. And it just, I remember distinctly hearing the voice of God when I was on that floor.
Really?
He told me I was going to get shot and not going to die. And I know exactly where that came from. It wasn't just something I made up in my head.
What did it sound like? What did his voice sound like?
It sounded like me.
Oh,
but
okay.
it sounded
so
like a little more I don't know. It was weird. It's like the voice in my head.
Kind of authoritative?
Yes.
Or, yeah.
A little more authoritative than I would have been. But
oh, my goodness.
I just remember. And
Yeah.
it's funny because when it came to this book and when he told me it was time to write this book, I knew exactly where it was coming from. And I told him no. And so I was like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
But I also knew what that voice was. And I knew saying no was going to be stupid and dumb. And here I am like 3 years later with a book.
With a book.
And,
Yeah.
but, you know, it just, he has proven himself over and over again about who he is and what he wants for us. And it's, I can't imagine. I even wrote in there, it's like not having faith in nothing takes so much more courage than having faith in something. It's like,
Isn't
I'm
that
not
the
brave
truth?
enough to not believe in something. So,
Well, that's true.
yeah.
Was there something, a practice, a book, whatever, a process for you in healing emotionally after the shooting?
I talked about it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I was given many opportunities to talk about it. People interviewed me from, I think, 2020, and I was on the Oprah show.
You were on the Oprah show?
I was on the Oprah
Okay.
show, and it was
All
really
right.
interesting. I got to go to Chicago, and I remember the producers told me, like, okay, so can you please keep the God talk, like, to a minimum?
They told you that.
They did, and I remember sitting and thinking, I was shot at church. How am I supposed to not talk about God? But
Yeah. Did you think, maybe not?
well, it's like the least they can do is cut it out. I mean,
I was going to say, what
that's-
can they do? Fire
yeah,
me? Right.
exactly. And so I didn't really preach a whole lot about
Yeah.
that, but I still got to talk about it. And so I was able to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And and that's the best way to process
Right.
something is just to talk through it.
Mm-hmm.
But after a while I was like, can I please just stop talking about this? Like, there's so much more to life than this. So,
And I think in my relationship with you, that was one thing we've not really talked a lot about it because, you know, here I'm a reporter. You'd think that would be, because I remember vividly reporting the story from the news desk. But I thought, well, you know, maybe she didn't want to talk about it. So, you know, so I was so glad when she wrote the book.
yes.
So were there certain things, songs, scriptures, whatever? I remember you wrote about, you had the
Yes.
overhead. What was the song that song that you were all singing?
Yeah, you're going to ask me and I'm not going to remember the title.
I'm trying to remember. what it
It's in
was.
the book.
Yeah.
Like it's in like one of the last chapters, the sanctuary
Right.
chapter.
Find it.
I will call upon the Lord. And
That's what it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was like, it came to mind because we sang a new choral arrangement of it last fall. And that chapter actually came out of that whole experience because
Yeah, that's right.
I was like, it's 25 years later. I'm like, this is real. And our first choir rehearsal was in our sanctuary and it was right before. I'm like, this is so weird. And it was so interesting.
Yeah.
And I needed to write something about just sanctuary. And, but yeah, I will call upon the Lord was up on the screen at the time. And the lyrics were still there when they went back into the building.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just interesting because the line, so shall I be safe from my enemies was up there and there was a bullet smack in the middle of it.
Gosh.
And
Oh my gosh.
it's just so interesting. But that's one of those songs that it got kind of dusty. We don't sing it anymore because
No, I know. It's
our
a great
songs,
song.
it's great. And like, and our songs, they cycle in and out of the church. And so it was funny because I hadn't thought about that song in at least 20
I know.
years.
Now it's in my head. Now it's in my head. You know, people talk a lot about before and after in their lives.
Mhm.
How would you describe the difference for you?
I have lived with this longer than without it.
Yeah.
I
That's true.
remember some things before it, but not a whole lot. I was 17. So, I mean, I don't know. It's always there. It's never going to go away.
Mm-hmm.
But I try my hardest not to be that person for a long time. I was so grateful to come to Waco because everyone in Fort Worth knew who I was and I couldn't go anywhere. I was like, I just want to be
You were
myself.
that girl that was shot.
I was that girl. And I
Mhm.
have fought my entire adult life to not be that girl.
Yeah.
And I talk about that, about identity and like who we are in Christ and who we are just in general. And it's funny because we've never talked about this story, but I want to tell you, I'm like, just don't treat me any differently and don't
Right.
think of, I'm still the same quirky
Well, I
friend.
didn't- I mean,
So-
It was just like something about
Yeah.
you know, that was just part of your history. And
right.
That's
And
just how I
I've had
viewed it,
people
but-
who have known me for 20 years. Like, I had no
that
idea.
don't know. Yeah.
I know. And I'm like,
Right.
I know because I
they
didn't
gonna
tell
know?
you. I know they're all going to know. It's going to be crazy. I was like, I didn't tell you for a reason. But I mean, I
Yeah.
don't introduce myself as that because there's so much
Yeah.
more to who
Yeah.
I am and what I do. And,
Mhm.
it's just, so it's interesting. Like now that I have this out, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
So what did you mean by not bad, just different?
So I talk about this in the introduction that life after trauma isn't bad. Healing's not bad. It's just different. I think about things differently. And if you look at I'm so proud of the cover. A friend of ours actually helped me bring that to life. And you see the sunflowers, and all the sunflowers are just hanging out there because they're all just sunflowers, except one is a little different. It has a bullet wound.
Yeah,
And
right in the middle of it.
but it's still with everybody, and it's just different. It's still a sunflower, and it's still there. But my life hasn't been bad because of the shooting. It's just different. I think about things differently. I remember talking with some of the men on our security team at church, and they asked me a question one time, and I said, I sit up towards the front just because it's convenient. I was like, but anywhere I sit, I'm like, I can tell you every single exit in this building. I can tell you how I would get out, and I do it subconsciously. I don't do it on purpose, and I wish I wouldn't do it, but it's just part of my psyche and part of how things go.
Well, and maybe more people need to be more aware of that. But I'm, of course, it's a very big church that we attend, and we have a lot of people packing heat, as they say.
I feel
undercover.
safer there.
I feel so safe.
And it's
There,
funny
yeah.
because I've thought about that. And I'm like, those who have their concealed carry, I'm like, I'm not worried about them. They're not the ones who are going to do us harm.
Yeah, we've got a former McLennan County sheriff
I
there.
know.
I mean,
And
we've got all kinds of folks who are there. And I've
and we-
just messed up my microphone. Sorry.
And we have our courtesy officers who are there, which is great.
Right. Oh, yes. The Woodway. Some of it's Lorena. I mean, it's different police
Every church.
officers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that are there. And that's what's happened. That's what's different.
Yeah.
Because of Wedgewood.
I know. And that's so
you
crazy.
You still go back to visit, or?
Ironically enough, I was actually there this past weekend. One of the ladies who ran our library, she passed away, and I went back for the memorial service,
Yeah.
and I'd forgotten her sons spoke at the service, and one of them had mentioned that she became the historian after the shooting. And actually, I had forgotten this. The historical documents and everything with it are actually, I believe, here in the Texas collection at Baylor. Yeah. So if people wanted to go look up anything, I believe it's down here at the Texas collection. Yeah. I'd forgotten that had happened.
Yeah, of course, there were lots of newspaper articles.
Yes.
And obviously the, broadcast news covered it.
It was everywhere.
Exhaustively. You brought another book. What is that?
Well, so this is no longer in print, but Dr. Dan Crawford, actually, I don't remember what his official title was, but he actually wrote the book of the shooting. It's called Night of Tragedy, Dawning of Light. But if you ever wanted to know what, this is experiences and different people's perspectives and things of the shooting itself, nothing afterwards, really. He did an updated version, I think, for the 20th anniversary and just kind of see where we were. But this was literally just who was where, what happened immediately afterwards. I remember Stephen Curtis Chapman actually came and sang at a citywide prayer meeting that they had. And so I remember when he came to First Woodway for a Christmas concert, I ran into him backstage and I was like, do you remember this? And he's like, oh my gosh.
I'll bet he remembered it.
I'll bet. Yeah. And he did. He's like, oh my gosh. Yes, I remember that. And so I couldn't go because I was at home, but so many things that had happened afterwards. But yeah, so I'm like, my book only covers the first 3 or 4 chapters cover the shooting itself.
Right. And
the rest is afterwards.
Your walk.
Yeah.
Your journey.
It's what 26 years of healing looks like.
Yeah.
And my hope is
there was a reason for you saying, not telling the
to
Lord,
say no.
I won't do it, but
Yes.
give me time.
It just wasn't time. And so, but after Uvalde happened in 2022.
Right. Oh, what a horrific.
And that's when I remember God said, it's time. And I was like, no, it's not. Because I didn't want to write it in reaction to something.
Right.
And he's like, it's time. I said, nope. And then finally in September, he's like, it's time. I said, okay, fine. So I started writing that. And my goal, I think, I never wanted to write a book. But if anybody gets anything out of it, I hope they can understand and see that there is healing down the road. And even for me, I don't want to read something immediately after. My nosy self is like, I want to know all the details. But I want to know, is this what my life is going to look like for the forever? And I remember after my dad passed away, I was just in such a place, a lady with such a good heart. She's like, oh, I miss my dad every day. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. It's like, when did he pass away? She goes, 10 years ago. And my heart just sank because I was thinking, I
Oh,
can't
it's
do
not
this
gonna
for
get
10
any
years.
Yeah, it's not gonna get better? It's not
Yeah,
gonna
I was like,
well,
surely there's light at the end of this tunnel, and there's something. And I hope that that's
yeah.
what this offers. You're technically the first person who's actually read it who's not been part of the writing process.
Ah, okay.
So,
Well, I highly recommend it.
oh, well, thank
I
you.
highly recommend and you're going to be having a book signing
Yes,
coming up on the
8th of
8th of
November.
November, and it will
Yes.
be
It'll be at First Woodway.
okay.
It's gonna be relatively small for people if they want to come by. It's just me kind of come and go, but if they buy a book on Amazon or if they can buy one at the event, they can do that. It'll be $15 at the event. I know Amazon and Redemption Press have some different prices, but yeah, it's just to kind of so I can talk about the cover design and I can talk about some of the other design elements that I don't talk about in the book, and just maybe do a book reading. It sounds so pretentious.
Oh,
and
no, I think it's wonderful.
So I think
Well,
it'll be fun.
and so let's talk a little bit about part of your healing process
Mm-hmm.
was to be involved in theater.
Yes.
And your people know you, I know, from Waco Civic Theater. You've been in so
Yes.
many productions.
Yeah, well, you interviewed some of my cast members
That's
earlier.
right.
I was
That's
like,
right.
oh, yeah,
For To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yep.
You
I was a
reached out
stage
to me about
manager.
that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've done theater for 20 years. Actually, I don't even think I talk about theater in here.
You just mentioned being
that
a theater kid or something.
Yeah, I'm like a theater aficionado. I'm a theater junkie.
Right.
And
Yeah, you had a list of things who define you, which
Yeah.
define you. And so,
and that's one of,
yeah.
I mean, that's,
yeah, definitely.
yeah, it's another thing that I really love doing. And it's fun to do that. And, it's not really
Well,
part of my
it's-
healing process, but it's just part of who I am. And
Right.
so-
And through theater, we do kind of escape, the day-to-day drudgery, whatever. We are living in a world that's marked by violence, and fear. So what would you say to people who are just looking to struggle to hang on to some hope?
So, one of my life mottos, it comes from a scripture, like, for God did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power of,
Sound mind.
sound mind. Yeah. I've gone blank on it. But, and I used to say, like,
I'm always calling on that one. I'm hoping
know.
for that sound mind.
yes. And I remember I kind of about in my mid-20s, I was like anxiety and worry stems from fear, and the spirit of fear is not of the Lord. And I remember, and it took a while for that really to take hold of my heart. And I remember I would tell people this. I'm like, worry stems from fear, and the spirit of fear is not of the Lord. It's like, yeah, but. I'm like, no, not but. Like, God did not give us a spirit of fear. And in this world where we thrive on it, I think we gravitate towards it. We want to be afraid of something. We're always worried about something. And I think for me, as believers, there is hope that that this world is not our home, and that we are not bound by our human emotions in that way. And that if we just release that and let go and realize that not everything is horrible. The world is, we have a lot of issues, but when you look at your neighbors and you look at your circle of friends, like we live in a really great place. Like, the world is not as bad as we want to make it out to be. But I also think that the Lord gives us strength in those situations. And, when we're afraid, that's the devil winning over our hearts, and that's not allowed. I'm like, that's not okay to be afraid of everything. So I always tell my students, I'm like, you're more likely to get shot at Walmart or be in a car accident on 35 than you are at school. And I tell them that. They're like, that's true. So I'm like, so what are you worried about?
Yeah.
I'm like, and if it happens, okay, then move on. Like, you'll take it one step at a time. You can't stop things from happening, but you can, like, control how you react sometimes, and you can, prepare yourself the best you can. So I even talk about active shooter training.
I was going to say, because all schools do this, and they should.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it has morphed so well. They have really adjusted it. I actually enjoy it now. I used to not. I used to kind of hate it.
That was
It
flashback time.
Yeah, and I remember the first time I went, I was like, okay, it'll be fine. And I remember watching, it was like doom and gloom, and it's a very serious issue, and I'm very well aware of that. But even the trainings that we've had, they talk about Virginia Tech and how much they learned from that, and how, like, they had students who didn't barricade at all. They had students who, didn't try to lock the door or anything, and they learned what to do. And so now we are taught to arm ourselves, and I love that because it gives the power back to us instead of letting this one person or two people, who however many there are, takes away their power to ruin the rest of our lives. And I told my kids, I'm like, get mad at this person, because how dare they have the audacity to come in here and change your life forever? Like, that's just, that's terrible. Like, that is not their job. And so I teach English, so I've got like 500 books on my shelf, and I'm like, grab a book. We're going to barricade this door and we're going to start chunking at them.
Yeah,
I'm like,
throw
just
'em.
get mad.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
But I love that empowers us, because I think when we feel empowered, that's when fear gets shelved and gets pushed back. Because when we feel that we can actually fight back, we're not just sitting there waiting for what happens.
Yeah.
I think I love that idea, like, because that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, the world saw Charlie Kirk assassinated, martyred, if you will, and then saw his grieving widow forgive the shooter.
That's hard.
Yeah. Where are you on that?
You know, forgiveness comes differently for all of us. Some people can do it immediately. Some people it takes a lot of time. I think we also forget that just because we forgive someone, that means that we have to keep that relationship the same. You can forgive someone and sever that relationship, because that may not be where you need to be anymore. You may not need to be friends anymore. I know sometimes it's difficult with family, but sometimes relationships have to be severed. But forgiveness, I think, is not necessarily for the other person. It's for us. And when we can forgive, we can move forward. But again, it takes time. I think that's probably one of my favorite chapters that I write about is forgiveness. And I've never really said those words out loud about my particular situation. It's just something I do.
Yeah.
I just don't have to think about it, because I don't walk around thinking about how horrible my life is because one person decided to come and shoot me at church. That's not what life is about. Like, it's just something that happened. I'm moving forward with it. And honestly, because of it, so much good has happened that I can't sit there and be mad. Am I going to say, hey, thanks? No. But it's the idea of, you made a choice. I'm sorry that you made a choice. I forgive you, I guess, in a way. But I'm going to move on with my life, because that relationship doesn't exist. It never did. And you're not going to control my life. So.
Yeah, right. Well, I like to end these little discussions with a questionnaire that the late, great James Lipton would use on Inside the Actor's Studio, which seems appropriate for you, my actor friend.
Yes.
What is your favorite word?
Oh, my favorite word. As an English teacher, I have lots of I love good words. I think one of my favorite words to say is like mellifluous. I love that word. It means like beautiful sounding.
Yes, it is. It's a lovely word.
Yes.
That's a good word.
It's a great word.
Mellifluous.
Mellifluous.
What about a least favorite word?
Can I say moist?
I have heard
so
that
weird.
more times than you know.
And I don't understand
I'm keeping a running total. I'm about 5 different guests.
I don't know why. I don't know. I don't have really. I don't know if I have a least favorite word. I don't know. I'll put moist up on that list.
I think, right. Add it to the list. What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Music. I love singing. I'm not formally trained, but I have been gifted with something that I can read music. I grew up singing. I played flute in band. I learned how to play the violin when I was little. Yeah. And I love good, beautiful music. I love sound. I love biblical teaching. I love studying the Old Testament. As New Testament believers, we're supposed to study about Jesus, and the New Testament is very much like how we're supposed to live and how we're supposed to, bring others to the gospel. And I understand that, but I love the Old Testament, because to me, that's where God really kind of shows off in his glory and his majesty, and things happen that you're like, how could this have happened? And there's only one explanation. I love that. So I love good music. I think I love a good redemption story. One of my favorite books to teach, and one of my favorite stories is A Christmas Carol. Yeah. And I always tell my kids, it's a ghost story. I'm like, but I love Ebenezer Scrooge. And I make fun of, I have some friends in my life. I'm like, you're such a Scrooge. But I also love the idea of Ebenezer, like we will remember, the stone of remembrance. And when we look at his story and how he so early on learns that maybe his heart softens so quickly. But I just love his story, because he is able and given that opportunity to turn his life around and to do good things. We don't always get that opportunity to turn our life around.
Right. It can be too late.
It can be too late. But I love that he was given that. And I love that story. So
what turned you off creatively, spiritually or emotionally?
Oh gosh. Creatively, like as a theater person, like overacting.
Yeah.
I love something that's natural. Like I love a good character, but I also love when you can bring a character to life and make them believable, even if they're not believable. Sometimes like spiritually, again, almost like overacting, like like not a performance, but just kind of going over the top. I'm like, I hear what you're saying. You don't have to yell at me. You know, you don't have to run around a stage or you don't have to do anything. But I think sometimes we get caught up in the I would say a production like aspect of it. But I also think like sometimes we have to pare it down. Like God doesn't need all the theatrics and we don't need all the theatrics.
Yeah.
But I'm like, sometimes the best stuff is just to turn off all the music and just sing. And I love listening to a congregation when like the instrumentalists stop playing and just hearing a cappella. And I remember I grew up in the 80s and 90s where we sang out of hymnals. And I remember singing in Wedgewood before it got bigger. We had a very small sanctuary with blood red carpet, but we would sing harmony. And it was just always so beautiful.
Yeah.
And I just love that. And sometimes our projector has gone out. And I'm like, sing familiar songs because we don't need a projector. We don't need the lyrics. When they're in your heart, you know them. Yeah. We don't need to rely on that. And I love that it's happened a few times and we almost sing better when we don't have that hindrance of I have to watch a screen or I have to do something else. And I love that. But I love just the pureness of all of that. And I love the joy behind all that. So
one last question.
Okay.
When you do arrive at the pearly gates, what do you want to hear the Lord say?
Oh, I want him to say, well done.
Yeah. Amen. Thank you, Mary Beth. Mary Beth Talley, not bad, just different. Living life as a mass shooting survivor. The book's available anywhere you can get a book, right?
Amazon, and Redemption Press. So it's very strange. If you type in my name or the title, it shows up. But yeah.
Okay.
So.
And November 8th, a book signing at First Woodway at what time?
It starts at about 3:30. Okay. And then it'll be, I'm going to do something at the beginning and then it'll be come and go until about 5.
Very good. Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you so much.
Love you. Stay with us. There is more of the show ahead.
Serving Central Texas since 1889, TFNB Your Bank for Life takes pride in being more than a bank. At TFNB, we remain committed to these principles. If you value them too, come join us. TFNB, Your Bank for Life.
It's the Restore Clarity Focus Patch, my little secret weapon for staying sharp, focused, and on task. Each box comes with simple instructions inside, so you always know exactly how to apply it. Each patch lasts for 3 days. I love that I can wear it all day.
BadCreditLoans.com is a pioneering service provider that has carved a reputation in the financial industry. Simple, fast, and reliable loan application process. And its commitment to responsible borrowing makes it a trusted partner in the journey towards financial stability.
All right, Lizzie B., what else is going on?
Well, this week, Waco Restaurant Week starts. On October 24th through November 1st, you can enjoy exclusive menu specials, pop-up events, and creative dining experiences at the huge, long list of participating Waco restaurants. This week brings together the community through eating, drinking, and being merry, 3 of my favorite things. So be sure to check out all of the businesses partnered and get your taste buds ready for Waco Restaurant Week. Waco Health District is also hosting a scenic walk through the Waco wetlands as part of the Bloom and Grow pop-up event program. You can join them for a free walk on October 23rd from 6 to 7 p.m., where you can explore local wildlife, connect with community, and discover the amazingly unique ecosystems right in our backyard. Also, it's all in partnership and support of Healthy Women and Children Coalition. Finally, Baylor's homecoming week is next week from October 27th through November 1st. There's going to be a whole week of activities on campus, so stay away. And it's going to culminate in the football game against the UFC Knights on Saturday, November 1st.
Who are they playing?
UCF.
Oh, my goodness.
Not UFC. That's
I'm sorry.
slightly different.
My dyslexic. Yeah.
Yep.
Red.
USC?
Not
University of Central Florida.
University of Central
Oh,
Florida.
I thought you were saying University of Southern California. I go, what?
No,
Nope.
not the UFC. It's
No.
the UCF.
UFC.
There you go.
Slightly different.
What's his name? White from UFC.
Dana
White. Yeah. He's going to come and.
Or Joe Rogan on the side.
Yeah. Thank you, Lizzie B. Great job. Good job. So that's coming up. Maybe that's going to be next week.
Yeah, Baylor homecoming week is next week.
A big thank you to our sponsor, Fox & Co. Bakery. Check them out for delicious baked goods and your catering needs.
So it's football season, and we can create your outdoor tailgating spaces that is actually a part of your home. Bifold doors that tie in the inside and the outside, and you can gain anywhere from 1,000 to 5,000 square feet living space, all while taking in the big game, poolside. Call us at Gather & Co. Kitchen and Bath, where we can create your unique tailgating space.
And welcome back to the show. I am so excited to have Dr. Nancy Krewnek and Karah Powell on with me via StreamYard, Zoom, I guess, kind of a thing, because you are in Georgetown, Texas. And you are getting things really ready for a very exciting event that's happening on November 1st. It is the Cowgirls Brunchin', and I kind of have my cowgirl sort of outfit on. I've got my kerchief, scarf, the way Nancy, that's your signature thing, Dr. Nancy. And I love
yes,
it.
Ma'am.
And
I
love
nearly
it.
always have a bandana.
And I've got my pearls that you gave me on because no grit, no pearl. My new motto.
Yes, ma'am.
Love it.
And so this Cowgirl Brunchin' is benefiting ROCK, which is Right On Center for Kids. So first of all, Nancy, for those who aren't familiar with ROCK, tell them what Right On Center for Kids is.
Yes, ma'am. So ROCK started in 1998, and we started as a therapeutic riding program, an equine assisted center. And what we do is we help children, adults, and veterans improve in independence and life skills by connecting with the horse. And sometimes that means physical therapy, and sometimes that means speech therapy, and sometimes that means therapeutic riding. And it just kind of depends on what people need when they come to us. And we have a herd of over 40 horses, and we have 35 staff and 400 volunteers and 2 covered arenas. It is a busy place. There's a lot of activities and moving pieces at all times. And we've just been doing this a long time. And we started working with veterans 20 years ago. And we even have a women-only veteran program on Friday nights, because sometimes the women veterans, when they come back, don't want to be integrated into a co-ed program. They feel safer. And then Texas A&M hired us in 2011, and we've been going down to A&M and teaching a class down there. And we also run a veterans program down at Texas A&M. And so in a small program that looks just like ROCK at Texas A&M with the cavalry horses. So it's really busy. And this last year we started a program with dementia. We're doing a research study right now on Parkinson's. So there's just a lot going on, but it's because of the horse. The horse does amazing work when people need to go to the next level in their life. It's a great thing. We love it.
Well, I know you have some amazing stories to share, and I want to ask you about one in just a bit, but I want to talk to Karah about the Brunchin'. What are we going to be able to expect at this wonderful event on November 1st?
Oh, you should expect everything to happen. First off, it is attended by women-led, women-owned businesses here in Central Texas. So far, we've sold 63 tables. 60 was our goal. If you want to come, let me know before Friday. We have 1 or 2 tables we could still squeeze in. But these women are here to support other women, and they decorate their tables, and they decorate them so amazing. Sometimes we've had simple, beautiful china from our grandparents and very elegant tables. We've also had themed for Halloween, for seasonal, courage and grit, denim and lace. We've even had a 6 foot tall skeleton as a table from an orthopedic surgeon in the past. So let me just say, all things can happen. There will be some unique women with some unique tables, and some of them even dress the part. So they show up at about 7 a.m. to decorate their tables, and then return at 10:30 to start drinking mimosas and having fun networking. It's super fun.
I'm so excited. One of the guests at my table is Petra Okiso, who owns Simply Irresistible here in Waco, and she's bringing the table decorations. So,
oh my goodness, so wonderful.
What's the latest we can get? We can get there to get the table done, even if maybe
as long as
she's
you're
not
done by
judged.
9:30.
Oh, 9:30.
And we can get people to help her. So let us know how we can help.
Okay. Well, so excited because I've just got a delightful group of ladies that will be sitting at my table. I'm especially excited about getting to MC. You had invited me to do this, and I'm thrilled about that. But there's a keynote speaker. Tell me about that.
Yeah, the keynote speaker, her name is Wen Zhang, and she is originally from China. And she has such an incredible journey story to tell of how she has risen to be such a leader in the industry she's in. And I cannot wait for you to hear her story. It's incredible.
Well, it's going to be wonderful. It is going to be wonderful. And of course, it's all to benefit ROCK, the Right On Center for Kids. Nancy and I mentioned, I know, of course, there was a whole movie that was done, a beautiful documentary that was done that we've talked about for many times, and it's still being premiered, right? Where Horses Heal the Soul.
Yes, ma'am. And it won such an award at the Waco Film Festivals, and then just recently it won a great award at the Georgetown Film Festival, and so it's been exciting. It's going to be shown during Veterans Week here with Veterans Week. We have a huge amount of flags November 10th at the Field of Honor, and they're going to show it out there in a tent. I think that'll be fun to watch it outside in the tent. That'll be kind of a different thing.
Yeah.
And another thing about our event November 1st, Dan, I wanted to tell you about is we always honor a woman of courage and grit. And the first honoree was Barbara Brightwell. It's called the Barbara Brightwell Courage and Grit Award. And the year that we announced it to Barbara Brightwell, her husband said, "No grit, no pearl." And that's where the focus on pearls comes that we have at this luncheon. Well, anyway, every year someone gets nominated and wins. This is our 4th year, and our nominee this year is amazing. So there'll be a short part of it where we talk about the courage and grit of the individual that will win this year, and she'll be honored. And it's a very inspiring story as well. So I think it's a nice event because there's no PowerPoints. You're in a barn. You've got horses around you as well. They're contained, but there are horses. And you've got women's creativity. You've got great food and mimosas. And you don't have an auction. Now, we do have a raffle, and we have over 35 fantastic gifts. And you just vote by what you want with your raffle tickets. And at the end of the event, you go up and read the board to see who won. And even that is wonderful. So it's just a different kind of fundraiser. And it's mainly 100% fellowship with women lifting each other up. And then the program is that way too. And that's what makes you the perfect MC. We're so excited for your spirit to come and help celebrate courage and grit with us.
Well, I'm just totally honored to be a part of it, and so excited because I know I'm going to leave inspired because of what you all do. So let's go back to Can you give me a story? Does something just really rise to the top, Nancy, of someone who's been a part of your program?
What we care about is that people come and they connect with the horse and it helps them. But what we care about is that it helps them outside of ROCK. That's the whole point. It's not what happens inside of ROCK. And we have a lovely gentleman that has a neurological challenge that tends to get worse. And he rode with us and he had lots of challenges. And then he won a big national award because he did so well. And as his disease has progressed, he has not been able to ride, but he still comes out and works with a horse. He rides our mechanical horse, which, by the way, was built by Baylor University.
I interviewed him. Yes.
Yes. And you'll get to see that when you come for the event. But he just recently graduated from high school and became a drone pilot. And he's in a power wheelchair and has a ventilator, still comes to ROCK, and now is a licensed drone pilot. And his parents have said the one consistent thing in his life was ROCK that has continued. And now he is continuing on. And that motivates me, because all of us sometimes feel like giving up. And he has just continued to persevere. And then the documentary has the 4 folks in the movie that have fantastic stories. Those people are still engaged with us and with ROCK. And we have people that come here that can't walk, that learn how to walk, small children that say their first words on a horse. And then we have these individuals with Parkinson's, and how amazing we see the changes with them with working with the horse, or somebody who comes here with dementia. And they open up and they brighten up, and then they start telling you stories about horses. So it's fascinating to me how the horse is a catalyst for the next step we all need to take in our life. And the research shows it decreases anxiety. And I don't know about you, Ann, but I think the whole world has anxiety. So I personally think everybody needs to touch a horse.
Absolutely. And I'm going to get to, right, on the 1st of November.
You'll get to when you come.
Really, really happy about that. So again, Karah, if somebody just say, oh, I got to come. So how do we get them there?
Yeah, so if they go to our website, rockride.org, ROCKRIDE.org, just click on the event button, and it shows that you can still buy a table. It's $500. And Nancy talked a little bit about the fundraiser part of it. The one thing I do want to say, there will be a slight moment where we'll talk about our financial need. And there's an opportunity for our guests to make a donation to ROCK. But what's important to know about that is every dollar that's raised at this event will help women, whether they're 2 years old or 92 years old, here at ROCK. There is financial aid assistance for our riders. And so that's how we keep our prices really, really low for tuition. And so any money that we raise on this day is all going back to serve women. So we're really excited about that.
Well, it is going to be a wonderful event. It is an amazing ministry, I'm going to call it that, for sure, for folks who have been helped over the many years. Nancy, Karah, thank you so much. And I will see you. I will see you on the 1st. I can't wait either. Thank you.
Yeah. Right. Just make sure everybody wears closed-toed shoes, because you don't want dirt between your toes.
I got my boots.
Yes, ma'am.
And I even got a cowboy hat to wear. So I'm good to go.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, ladies, thank you so much. And you stay with us. There's more of the show ahead.
VivoSun's mission is to empower growers with stylish and effective products, making indoor growing accessible and enjoyable for everyone. Visit vivosun.com today and get started making growing plants and vegetables easy and automatic.